Let me bring in at this time criminal defense attorney Colleen Kelley. Colleen, thank you so much for joining us here on Court TV. And I have to start with the strategy that I think the state is employing and get you to weigh in, because we know this witness has already testified for the prosecution, but at that time they utilized him to lay the brief foundation to get in the video interrogations with the defendant. Those two came in, and now they've recalled him to go through the attempting to identify the victim in this case. Did they do that purposefully to not distract from those police interrogation videos and kind of let those sit on their own, do you think?
I think that's a definite strategy choice, and one that I think would work when you really want to focus on the statement that the defendant had made. But I also think it might be a strategy choice to bring in this evidence at the end, because it's the last thing that the jury will hear from the prosecution about just how carefully, that's what they're setting up, is just how carefully the evidence regarding the body was processed, just how carefully it was preserved, to also keep the timeline and an explanation for the timeline and why they did things in which order. So I think it's a joint strategy there.
And primacy and recency, to your point, is what the jury's going to remember, so that makes good sense. And I must ask you about the prosecution's performance, so to speak, because this is textbook. I find it very well prepared. It's at a pace so you don't get bored. The jury's listening to the very important details. But to your point, highlighting that they really seemed to dot every I and cross every T during this investigation.
And I'm looking forward to the rest of this testimony, and especially I'm looking forward to the cross-examination. What is the defense going to cross this witness on? What do they think the investigation missed in this case, if anything? And that will come through in the cross-examination. So, for example, were there additional tests that they should have run that would have potentially uncovered evidence? Now, we have someone who is accused of brutally murdering and dismembering his wife. And the story that they're telling is that he was an intelligent man, he was a prosecutor, he knew the procedures, he wiped things down with Clorox wipes or something similar to that, and perhaps that's why there's no evidence where they would expect to see it otherwise. So I can't wait for the defense attorney to see if they found any holes or if they're suggesting that anything was missed.
Yeah, because the defense attorney's been active in this case trying to poke holes, so it will be interesting to see what they have to ask. Stand by if you would, please. Coming up, we'll have more testimony in the dismembered wife murder trial, plus a man accused of raping 2 women before faking his own death and fleeing the country. Court TV's Matt Johnson joins us live for an update on the case against Nicholas Rossi. Next. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott. We will get you back to Georgia and the dismembered wife murder trial in just a moment. But first, we want to update you on another case that we are following here at Court TV. It is day 2 of testimony in the fugitive sex offender trial out of Utah. Nicholas Rossi is accused of raping 2 women before faking his own death and fleeing the country to start a new life in Europe. Let's get you caught up on the case now. Here's Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson.
Go on the record in the matter of State of Utah versus Rossi.
Nicholas Rossi is standing trial for rape after allegedly faking his identity, faking his own death, and fleeing the country to avoid being arrested.
Are you Mr. Rossi?
No, lady, my name is Arthur Knight Brown. My date of birth is 22nd of the 11th, 1986.
This individual has been extradited, and he has not admitted his name or birth date. I don't think we're going to be successful on that today either.
Rossi is from Rhode Island, and his legal name is Nicholas Oliverdian. But at the time of his arrest, he claimed to be an Irishman named Arthur Knight. Rossi is accused of raping 2 women in 2008. According to investigators, in 2020, after Rossi was identified as a suspect in one of the rape cases, he allegedly faked his death and fled to Europe. He ended up in Scotland, living under the name Arthur Knight. In 2021, Rossi was arrested after he was hospitalized with COVID-19. He fought extradition, claiming that he was being framed, and said that he changed his name because he feared for his life.
I was informed by 2 reliable sources that there were 2 credible threats against my life.
Rossi was extradited back to the U.S. last year. In Orem, Utah, he's accused of raping a then 21-year-old woman. In Salt Lake County, he's accused of raping his former girlfriend after an argument. That case will go to trial first, and prosecutors say they will not focus on the identity changes and conspiracies, but will instead center their case around facts.
We're going to present evidence that happened at that time back in 2008 and really try and focus in on that, convince 8 people beyond a reasonable doubt that a crime has been committed and 8 people beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Rossi is the one that committed that crime.
Well, let's bring in now Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson for the latest on this case. Always great to be on with you. Matt, please tell us, what key testimony have we heard so far in this case?
Yeah, from the victims, right? This is definitely a case to watch right now, making headlines globally. Powerful testimony from the defendant's ex-girlfriend, the alleged victim in this case, who was first on the stand yesterday and brought to tears as she described the incident in question. Now, again, per court order, we cannot show the faces of the victims, but here is what she said, quote, "He pushed me on the bed, he held me down and forced me to have sex with him. I was afraid of him and froze. I was a little bit more timid person back then, so it was harder for me to stand up for myself." The jury also hearing from the alleged victim's mother right here, Tammy Sadler, who said this on direct and cross.
She came to us and told us that her and Mr. Rossi had broke up. She was really upset. She had stated that he had owed her some money, that she actually financed wedding rings into her name, and that he still had the ring that she had purchased for him. And at that time, that's when she did disclose to us that she had been raped by him.
I've said it before, but he was kind of weird.
Yes, it was very weird.
Nothing violent, though, right?
No.
Now, again, after she left the stand there, she glared at the defendant before leaving the courtroom. She walked through the well. It was a powerful moment to watch. She just stopped and looked at him.
The primacy, recency, starting a trial with a victim and that kind of testimony, Tells a compelling story for sure. Now, I understand, Matt, there might have also been testimony from an expert witness.
Yeah, and early on, right? Again, we're just in day 2 of testimony. So the defense, as you know, is trying to poke holes in the state's case in chief in cross-examination. But they also did so in their opening statement. The defense is questioning the alleged victim's credibility and why it took her 13 years to report the alleged incident. So the state, right out the gate, is calling a trauma counselor to take the stand and talk in general about myths associated with sex assaults.
Sexual assaults can happen anywhere. It is typically someone the victim knows. For many, I'm going to switch back to survivor language. For many survivors, it's actually a really arduous process to make the decision to report. Many never report. Only a minority of victims report immediately. By immediately, I mean within a few days. But of those who report, there are delays as long as weeks, months, and in some cases, years.
And the defendant in all of this has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Now, if convicted, he does face 5 years behind bars. Remember, keep in mind, these are 2 separate cases that he's facing. The first one is what we're experiencing right now, and the jury could actually be deciding by week's end.
And then the other one still needs a trial, correct?
Yeah,
that hasn't happened yet.
I'm not sure if we even have a trial date for that one yet, but we're tracking it.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt Johnson, as always. Wow, what a case. Coming up at 6 p.m. Eastern, we will be playing out all of the biggest moments from that case from court today. Stay with us then. You do not want to miss it. Right now, though, let's turn back to the dismembered murder trial in Georgia. Former Navy lawyer Nicholas Casotis is accused of murdering, then hiding the body parts of his wife, Mindy, at a hunting property in South Georgia. We are listening to GBI Special Agent Tracy Sands, who was recalled to the stand, outlining details about the evidence collected and efforts to identify the victim. Let's go back in.
So on December 3rd, you heard testimony that there was another portion of Mindy's remains recovered. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Were you present on that day?
I was not.
Do you know who else was?
Yes. At that time, Detective Jack Frost, who's also been an investigator Frost, who's been identified both ways, but his current title is investigator, but at that time he was a detective.
Okay. And so was he the partner that you were working with on this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that point, did he, as you heard him testify, handle the processing of her right leg?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at that point, ultimately, did that portion of her remains go to the crime laboratory as well?
It did.
Okay. And you indicated then that on Monday, would that have been December 5th of 2022?
That's correct.
You spoke with Mr. McCallum?
That's correct.
Okay. Tell the jury, when you spoke with Mr. McCallum, what was it your intention to do at that time?
Basically, he was there to tell the story of how they had found and located the initial remains in the second day.
Okay. Did you know at that point whether the torso and the 2 legs that you recovered belonged to the same person?
I did. As far as medically or officially, I didn't, but yes, I did. I came to a conclusion based on physically looking at them, where the cuts were located.
So it appeared that those, for lack of a more appropriate way to say it, that those remains matched each other physically?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at that point, how did that information assist in your investigation?
We knew we had another portion, so we had to continue to look for the other portions.
What did you do to facilitate that?
Over that weekend, we had coordinated a search with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. They had a K-9 unit, as well as the South Carolina K-9 search team that you heard from earlier. They were specifically with cadaver dogs. They had great success around the country pretty much, and we coordinated with them to come assist us with the search, as well as requested Georgia State Patrol once again for the aviation unit.
And why did you seek out the assistance of the aviation unit?
The aviation unit, you've heard the dimension of drones, which are great, but there was so much territory to cover. This is a very large property. We've mentioned one hunting club, but there are actually several hunting clubs that are on that adjoining property. It actually, from that property, gets very close and goes into a military bombing range, which goes on even further. So when we say thousands of acres, you've heard 15,000, 25,000. The exact acreage is even more than that if you consider wooded area. It's not owned by the same person. Naturally, you'll have some military areas. You had some, but it is a huge part of the property. If you look from a higher viewpoint, you can tell the property and the hunting club area. A satellite image would be the best view of the entire property.
And when you say the entire property, are you referring to just the Portal Hunting Club or that entire area?
The entire area that we would be searching at the time.
Just so we're clear, how large was the area in which her remains were ultimately recovered?
Several miles apart.
Okay, so was that in can you tell us approximately how many mile radius?
It was within a 3-mile radius.
Okay, and so they were not necessarily side by side?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you indicated that there was aerial attempts. Can you tell the jury the difference between drones versus helicopters?
Yes, ma'am. Drones are limited to 400 feet. They're an awesome tool that we use quite frequently to photograph and document scenes. But as a result, when you have a huge area like this, or an area that needs searching, where we were continuously searching for other body parts or other evidence, it's very limited. It's a 30-minute battery life to the most an hour battery life. So the helicopter would allow us to get higher and take a better overall picture than a drone.
Don't you wonder if the killer is thinking, how in the world did they find her remains? More than 25,000 acres, not including wooded areas. I think it's fortunate that the hunter actually found part of the remains. Stay with us. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get you back in where we left off for more of the testimony.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, the final state witnesses in the dismembered wife murder trial. We'll unpack today's key testimony, getting you ready for the defense case.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Saturday nights on ION is our night. Let's go! Double headers every Saturday at 7 and 10 p.m. Eastern. The new Saturday Night Out is on ION all season long.
back now to Georgia for more of day 6 in the dismembered wife murder trial for defendant Nicholas Casotis. Prosecutors say that Casotis killed and dismembered his wife, Mindy Casotis, back in 2022. But the defense is pointing the finger at a mystery man who they say was controlling the movements of the couple. Let's get you back into the courtroom. We are listening to testimony from the state's lead investigator in the case, still direct examination by the state.
At this time, I'd like to show the witness 1.104A through D. Thank you, counsel. May I approach you? Yes. I'm going to ask that for the rest of his examination, if that's possible. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you recognize those to be?
Those are screenshots of satellite images.
And who created those screenshots?
I did.
And where did you take those screenshots from?
Google Earth.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of the area that you had searched in connection with this case from December 2nd through December 7th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
At this time, Your Honor, I would ask also, are there waypoints that are placed on there?
Yes, ma'am.
Who placed those waypoints?
I did.
And how did you place those waypoints?
Basically with the coordinates that I've obtained, I drew and placed them on basically a PowerPoint slide to show those locations in reference to each other.
Did each of those have a longitude and latitude GPS coordinate?
They do.
And what are those coordinates from?
Those coordinates are listed in the photograph as Google Earth shows coordinates on longitude and latitude, but the actual dot was from coordinates that we had taken at the scene of each location.
Your Honor, at this time I'd seek to tender 1.104A through D.
Any objection? No objection. They're admitted. Those are 4 photographs.
Thank you. May I publish them?
You may.
I'm now showing you (1.104B). Plugged in, I may have to unplug it.
No,
is that okay? Thank you. Thank you. Now, would it be fair to say that this photograph displays the area that you were searching?
That's correct.
And all of that green, what is that?
It's basically timberland and the property.
And those little blue dots, what are they?
Those were where we located Mindy.
Did it also include any of the other items located in connection with this case?
Yes, over in the left side it says Sterilite tote location and then Sterilite tote lid.
Would that be over here?
Yes, it's very blurry on my screen. I don't know for the jury.
I'm going to just walk it over to maybe make that easier. Were each of those waypoints placed on that map concerning the coordinates that you were referring to?
That's correct.
Okay. And now, would it be fair to say that these other images zoom in closer?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to now show you 1.104A. Is that depicted here as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And then again, going even closer still, would that be here?
Yes, ma'am. That's better.
There you go. And was that able to show relatively where each of these items were found in relationship to each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, do you see these marks here these whitish lines.
Still with us, criminal defense attorney Colleen Kelley. Colleen, pretty remarkable that they searched this area between December 2nd, December 7th, and found other parts belonging to Mindy. Tell me your last thoughts about this witness and the prosecution's case, please.
Well, I think it's interesting still what they're trying to pinpoint. They're trying to pinpoint all of the parts of the remains that they found. They're trying to pinpoint the location of those totes. And my only thought is as to why they're trying to do that is because they do have him, I believe, purchasing those totes on video and trying to clear up any thoughts of the jury that maybe they're not associated with the dumping of the remains, frankly.
And I think, too, we had that cell phone expert that testified about multiple cell phones as well as car data, putting him close to, and the defense poked holes and established he could have been by the body parts, but they couldn't definitively say that. Do you think that it's really important for closing to bring all that together, or do you think the jury gets it from the testimony in the last 20 seconds?
I don't think pinpointing his exact location in the exact location of a body part is going to be important for the jury. I think that there's no other explanation from him being there unless he testifies otherwise.
All right, Colleen Kelley, thank you so much for being on with us today. Coming up next, Michael Ayala joining me for more testimony in the dismembered wife murder trial. Stay with us here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.